Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another Operate First Data Science Community Meetup. Today, we're going to have Harshad and Maya give a talk about some of the recent updates on the Thoth project. So unless anyone has any questions or updates that they have now, I can hand it over to Harshad and Maya. All right. Cool. Harshad, Maya, take it away.
So thank you, Michael. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, oops, sorry. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So hi, everyone. Welcome. So my name is Maya, and I'm here with Harshad to talk to you about Project Thoth and recent updates in the project. So we are both software engineers in the Open Services Group, which is part of Red Hat's Office of the CTO. So if you have any questions during this presentation, do not hesitate to ask them. So first of all, who are we? So who is the Thoth team? So Thoth started as a research project in 2018 within Red Hat Office of CTO in what was previously known as the AI Center of Excellence of Red Hat, and now it's called Open Services Group. So currently we have 10 engineers in our team, and overall we have had over 50 contributors to the project. And you can also find our community on social media, on Twitter, YouTube, and we also have a website, station.ninja, to have more information about what we do and what Project Thoth is. So our main mission is to help Python developers and data scientists create healthy application. So this project has multiple parts. So we have one of the core parts, which is the Thoth Resolver, a recommendation engine for Python application to recommend Python dependencies. But we also have other integrations and components such as Dependency Monkey, which is a service able to validate software in a cluster. We have a Jupyterlab extension to manage dependencies in Jupyter Notebooks. We have bots also, like Kebeshet, which manages dependencies in GitHub repositories. We have pipelines for CI, such as the ISO ECI, to build container images. We also do container image analysis, and we have a self-hosted Python package index within Red Hat called Pulp, which is available to all Red Hatters. So what is Thoth? So Thoth basically is another Python resolver. So you probably already used classic resolvers such as pip, pipenv, or poetry to manage your dependencies. Well, Thoth is a resolver which is able to solve dependencies, not always to the latest possible versions like other installers and resolvers do, but to the best possible version. So I will detail what that means exactly. So let me talk to you a bit about how Thoth resolves dependencies and how that works in the background. So as I said, unlike other resolvers such as pip, for example, Thoth is able to solve dependencies to other recommendation types and latest. And all this dependency resolution takes place in the cloud, so it doesn't take place locally on the user's machine, for example, but it uses resources from an OpenShift cluster we run Thoth on. So basically, Thoth has a component called the advisor, which is one of the core components that provide advices, as we call it. And it takes a set of input from the user, such as requirements on the dependencies, constraints, for example, with versions, and also information about the software in runtime environments. So, for example, the OS platform used, the Python version the user has for his application, if some base container image is used, if the environment has CUDA installed, for example. and also information about the hardware, such as CPU or GPU used. So we also take into input a recommendation type. So this can be set to latest, for instance, to get the latest possible versions of dependencies, but this also can be set to for others recommendation types such as stable, performance, testing, or security. So all of these inputs are provided to the advisor, which will use a reinforcement learning algorithm to compute the best possible software stacks, taking into account all of those user requirements, and in exchange will provide the user with a log file with pinned dependencies, so a full software stack that was computed by the advisor, and also justifications on why the dependency resolution happens this way, so that the user is informed about exactly what happened, why some versions were discarded, for example, why some others were chosen, etc. And the advisor takes all this knowledge from a knowledge base that we maintain. So we'll talk a bit more about this one. So the observation we have in Thoth's knowledge graph include, among other things, information about the application stack, such as the build time and runtime environments, but also about dependencies. And we also have benchmarks of package version performances, for example, and other things, observations about application binary interfaces. If some libraries have vulnerabilities, we run security analyzers, and we also have some information such as source code meta information available. So Thoth is available on different integrations. We have a command line interface, which is called Thamos, which I will demo a bit later, so that you can get advice on your dependencies directly from the terminal. We have a Jupyterlab extension, Kevichet, the bot I talked to you about, to create pull request issues and manage dependencies in GitHub repositories, container builder, and we optimize deployment pipeline. Okay. So now I will show you a demo of the Thamos command line interface. So this is a tool you can install from the Python package index by running pip install Thamos. I will show you how to manage vulnerabilities with Thamos this time. So this will be a demo more focused on security. So the goal of this demo will be to show how to manage a simple CVE you have in some application, which is Conway's Game of Life. So we'll see how that works right now. So let me share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see it properly.
It's a little small. Can you bigger maybe?
I'm not sure I could zoom in.
Maybe at the terminal, if you go to terminal menu.
Yes. Oh, sorry. This was a phone.
Check on the view. You'll get it there.
Sorry?
There's a view option, right, on the top.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So are you able to see better now?
Maybe zoom in one more, like just one more.
Yes.
No, it's great.
Good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, great. So to start with, I am on a repository which is called CLI examples, which is available under the Thoth Station organization on GitHub, so that you can find it and reproduce this demo, as well as other demos we have on other branches of the repository with all instructions available. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to clone the repository and follow the instruction to have this tutorial. Okay, so let's do a list of what we have in this repository. So as you can see, we have an application here, which is called gameoflife.py. So it's a single script which contains our simple Game of Life applications. And you also have a pip file and a pipfile.log to manage our dependencies. So the package is necessary to have the Game of Life application running. So let's see what is in this pip file. So here you can see that we have different packages that are necessary to run the application. And we'll be interested in Pillow. So Pillow is a library for image processing in Python. And here, this will be the library that allows us to do a screenshot of our game, for example. So here we didn't specify any version in particular, so we put a specifier to see that to say that we can have any version of Pillow for the moment. Okay, so to run the Thamos CLI, you need a configuration file which is called .thoth.yaml. So let's see what is in there. So you can see that here you can specify some parameters for your configuration so that you can use Thoth with the proper information about your environment with the URL to the API version you would like to have. So here, for example, we use the production user API of Thoth. You can also specify things such as requirements format. So for example, here we use pip file, so I specify pipenv. And I also specify information about my runtime environments. Here I can run, if I'm unsure about my configuration, I must check to check if the configuration is correct, and it will output some information about things I could have stated, for example, or things that are mismatched. So here you can see the message which shows CPU final state in the configuration file, which is none because I didn't specify any, does not match the one detected. So Thamos is able to detect your environments, specifications, and to adjust so to tell you to adjust the configuration accordingly to get the best possible recommendations according to the environment you have currently. So here's the configuration check passed. So we'll go on with the demo. So now I would like Thamos to advise me about my dependencies. So just to see exactly how that happens. So I will run Thamos advice simply. And as I didn't specify anything with that, the recommendation type that will be used is latest because that was the one which was the default, I think, of the configuration. So here you can see a few information about dependencies that were computed by the Thoth backend. So you can see a few info, warning, and also some actionable items on what to do with your dependencies. So you have in this column links to justifications with more information about this advice. And here you have information by dependency. So here you can see the name of the dependency and different information and warnings, such as, for example, info extracted from the OpenSSF security scorecards about, for example, if the project has good practices, different metrics that indicate if the project has risks, has good, like implement good practices, etc. Okay, so you can now install your dependencies with Thamos install in a virtual environment. So this is what we're going to do now. So this will be installed in the virtual env using another tool called micropipenv. You can also find under the Station organization on GitHub. And you can also browse the resolution log with Thamos log. So if you're interested in what happened during the resolution process, you can see this information with the Thamos log commands. All right, so now we're going to run our Game of Life application to see exactly what it consists in. So you can see it's a simple game. So I just click on some random squares, and now I can play the game of life. So all the dependencies that's allowed to have the game of life running were correctly installed. Okay. Now we're going through the security part. So what happens exactly if I specify that I would like to add some vulnerable version of Pillow? So I can add a dependency to my requirements with Thamos add Pillow and specifying the version. So here I added Pillow in version 8.0.0. Okay, so now I would like to have an advice focused on security. So I will run Thamos advice and specify as a recommendation type that I would like a security. Did someone have a question? Because I think I heard.
Yes, sorry. So my question is, what was the reason that you ran the application by invoking Thamos and not Python? What's the difference?
This will run the application in the virtual environment that was prepared with all the dependencies you had. So when I run,
so basically Thamos install prepares that virtual environment with all dependencies, and then you want to run application in that environment. That's why Thamos run.
Right.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so now I just run the Thamos advice command with the recommendation type set on security. So what happened here, as you can see, is that the output is quite different. That when I had the latest recommendation type, which was when I run Thamos advice without anything specified, no parameter. So here you can see this message here at the bottom that cannot satisfy direct dependencies because Pillow was removed by some pipelines of the resolution process. So you can see at the bottom that this is because it didn't find any version. So because we specified a version of Pillow to use, so 8.0.0, and this version has a CVE you can see here. So this BISEC 721, etc. And yeah, several CVEs. So the resolution process just like couldn't resolve Pillow, so we don't have our dependency available. So we can see that if we do a Thamos run game of life. Oh, okay. Okay, so normally didn't do that when I was sorry.
The error above says that you need to like lock your dependencies. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
so it says to run a Thamos advice, but normally it should thing have that. So dependencies. So okay, I'm trying to press some key, but I guess okay. So here I was trying to do a screenshot of my game. So by pressing a key, and it didn't work because Pillow was not available. It was removed by the pipelines, as I say, and as you could see in the pip file, this was not present anymore in the packages section. So the application is now like prevented from running, which was the initial goal, because we wanted to have a vulnerability-free software stack. So this was the goal of the demo. So you can see that without this dependencies, the application was prevented from running. Okay.
I can take it from here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Just a second. So it should be sharing in a minute. So shortly, just what I wanted to touch on the bit. Just one thing, like Maya showed you, that Thamos advice will give you the result of it as a pip file log. So you really don't need to always stay on Thamos install. You can also, from there onwards, you can use pip and use your Python module. But the whole concept is to have a pin down stack. So next thing which we want to show is something which you can do in the Jupyterlab environment itself. So we have created an extension called, or plugin called Jupyterlab requirements. This is something which you can install from PyPI just with pip install requirement or Jupyterlab requirements. So what it does is it provides you managing notebook requirements inside the notebook itself. So it becomes difficult because data scientists keep on writing code with trying to invoke the packages inside the cell, which becomes hard to track because there's no requirement of txt, right? Because you're trying to install in the runtime. So this would help you to manage those things alongside. So you can install on the runtime, and it will track on the back end what packages are being installed, so that you can reproduce the same thing again when you're running it in a different environment, just maybe using your own notebook, right, into an image. So this provides that functionality. It is attached to Thoth engine, so it provides you advices from Thoth as well. But it's just not subjected to Thoth. You can, if you don't rely on that, you can at least always use pipenv instead of just staying on to pip. So you can use this command, install it, and run it. We have a CLI tool for this pip cell as well. So you can use a command called Horus to run it, and it will basically check your dependencies which are already there, for lock them into a requirement.txt or pip file, and install basically through that. I see we are a little short on time, so I'll not take much time on the demo, but I'll show you what's there, like how you can utilize this. As you can see, I'm logged into a Jupyter Hub with instance from ODH. This is a S2I minimal notebook, which is simple, basic minimal notebook. It is installed with the Jupyterlab requirements. As you can see, there's a button here. It's called Manage Dependencies. You can click here. It notice what dependencies are already there. You can also add more by including these things. Let's say Boto 3. It shows if the Boto 3 is a good package or not. It can also detect those things. And now let's save this and install it. It sends advice to Thoth and tries to install based on that. This will take 2 minutes, but let's not wait on that. I will show you this check as well while it's happening. So there's Horus check. So Horus is the CLI tool. You can run this command. You can see all those details in the documentation, what commands are there. But you can look at this tool, and it will check what is your runtime right now, what packages you're using. So it allows you to do it in the cell as well. So we have the UI and the cell capability. So suppose if you want it in your notebook, how can you get it? If you have heard about the Meteor project, if you build your notebook from there, it will directly be installed with install inside it. So you can use that. There is the pip command as well. So that's basically it. Sorry for taking the time, but if you want to follow more, you can follow our docs here, and for a few links, we'll probably share the slides as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes, Surya.
Yeah, so thank you for this nice presentation. I just had a small questions about, like, so can I say, like, if I'm working from a command line terminal, I should use Thamos advice option, and if I'm working from a Jupyterlab or Jupyter Notebook environment, I should use pip install Jupyterlab requirements. Wait,
Yeah,
is
so
that correct?
that's correct. And also, if you are just so let's say it in this way: if you're using notebooks, you can rely on Jupyterlab requirements. The Horus command is for CLI, so you can run it in terminal as well. If you're working on some Python project, which is not notebook, then you can use the Thamos command, which is pretty much available everywhere.
And when I'm working from a Jupyterlab requirements, I don't need to worry about Thoth YAML file, right?
No,
Yeah.
actually not. So it discovers, because you're running it in a cluster, it knows, it will discover it what's your runtime. Same thing which Maya showed. If you are using Thamos as well, you don't need to do that. There's a command called Thamos config which can discover these things. But just she was showing that you can explicitly edit it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Michael.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Sorry, what is the difference between Thamos and Horus?
So the thing is, Horus can only run inside a Jupyterlab environment. So if you're using Jupyterlab in a notebook, then only you can use Horus. That's the reason it is named differently. Thamos is something which is available and which can run on any Python environment. So technically, Thamos would be the parent, and Horus is a subset of it. So that's the basic definition.
Cool. The second question I had was about, so all these tools, like, they're available for like users on that use the operate first Jupyter Hub instance, right?
Oh yes. So the Jupyter requirements is existing there in all the images, most of the images which are predefined. I know that they're user images as well. But yes, and also in ODH, upstream ODH, not in the not in the commercial one, but upstream ODH should also have these things and few of the images. Yeah. Yes, Art.
Yes, thank you. So you mentioned that ODH upstream will have this. Do you know when, or is it already there?
So it's in S2I minimal only as of now, because that's what we are managing. It might. So the latest version will be, we are updated frequently. So based on the new release of ODH, you should have them. But if not, you can always pull them from Quay as well. It's just OC tag command.
Right. And one last question I have, because you mentioned that this is not available in Untitled OpenShift Data Science. Do you know if there is a plan to have it in the future?
There is a different plan, like more managed plan of it. This is open source project, right? There would be a more managed plan. Like there is ongoing discussions on this, and there's a managed plan on this, like how there would be some of the things different, but it would be little different from what is available upstream, like, as you know. But
Okay,
yeah,
but there is no like foreseeable like timeline for this addition to the road space.
As of now, not right now, but maybe in the coming next year part of things, there are some discussions, but not official anything.
All right, thank you so much.
Of course.
Cool. Awesome. Well, any other questions? I know we're a little bit over time, but if anyone's has any last questions?
So if not, just wanted to say, like, you can follow those links. There are some YouTube videos if you just want to try out, and we are happy to support if someone is trying out and someone faces any issues. You can just like, I've put some important links there. You can directly chat with us in our GChat, or click on that help link and send us issues. We're happy to support. Like, we just are happy to have you as a user if you want to just try these things out. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks, Maya.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you all so much.